Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rama Cafe. And today's portrait, I'm calling it a portrait, is how to make homemade fries. How to make homemade fries. It's simple, but it's complex. I believe every meal is a portrait. It's an art piece of artwork. So we're gonna start with potatoes. Gotta get your grease hot. Get your grease warm. You can use olive oil, regular oil, peanut oil. Me, I like to use a mixture. I ain't gonna tell y'all. Just use the oil of your choice. The oil of your choice. Not too many at one time. I'm gonna do this in sequence. But as you can see, I'm gonna add a few things. And the reason I like to call it the Rama Cafe, I believe every bit of cooking needs to have a little bit of conversation. A little bit of conversation. If you ain't got nobody to talk to your food. Talk to your food. Potatoes, it's about to go down. You ready to get brown? Now, all joking aside, today I want to, as I am cooking, I do want to shed a little light on, don't let life snuff out life. Don't let life snuff out life. I know some might say that sounds a little crazy, and what are you talking about? Well, you can have something that you really like to do or love to do and have a passion for, but you can let the routine of life snuff out your life, snuff out your creativity. So that's what the Rama Cafe is about too. It's about different topics and different conversations as well as good homemade food. So you get a little bit of both. So I want you to subscribe to that channel. Tune in at any given time. But it's really about the food. And with the potatoes, I'm gonna add some mushrooms. I know you don't normally see mushrooms with potatoes. A little bit of bell pepper and a little bit of white onion. But it's crucial that you put them in sequence. Since the mushrooms cook a little faster than the other two, you want to put them in last. Ain't nothing worse than a burnt up mushroom in your potatoes and everything right. So what I'm gonna start with first, I'm gonna put I'm gonna go with the onion first, but I'm gonna still let the potatoes brown a little bit. Let them brown a little bit. You want to get it good and hot, but don't get it too hot where when you burning it up. Potatoes can be one of the easiest things to make, or they can be one of the worst things to make if you got to grease up too high, or if you got too much grease in there. Nobody wants a soggy potato. All right. So now back to the conversation. Y'all might wonder too, why are you cooking it in your robe? Back to what I was talking about life. Don't let life snuff out life. I'm wearing my robe today because my boss don't know, but I fired him. He's fired. He's fired. And you probably wonder, well, why'd you fire him? I figure like this. If you can do it for somebody else, why can't you do it for yourself? Huh? I hear somebody saying, talk about it. But that's true. Whatever you do in life, you know how many people get up every morning and hate the job that they're going to, but are scared to make a change or scared to do something different. I heard somebody say a long time ago, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, but thinking you're gonna get a different result. See, doing the same thing over and over. And it ain't no right or no wrong way to make whatever you making. I say like this: if you're inexperienced in the kitchen and don't know what you're doing, just start off by turning your skillets, whatever you're using, turn it down low so you don't burn it up. Some people start panicking when they see the flames and everything getting hot, or the grease popping and everything. But just turn it down low, and whatever you like to season it up with that. Go with your flow. But these here is my potatoes. That's why it's going down like this. All right, so chop your onion up. I like my onions to be a little thick, not too small, because if you cut them up too small, they can get dark, burnt up too fast. So make them a little chunky, and then plus you get more flavor out of them that way too. And they identify. You know, some folks they won't eat it if they can't tell what's in it. Some stuff I make, I don't even tell what's in it until they finish eating it. All right, but just cut them up a little chunky. A little chunky. These should be, they don't have to be all the way done, but they gotta be getting there. Turn it up just a little bit higher. And I don't plan on taking my robe off just yet. because I believe in, you know, do your own thing. Do your own thing. All right, here we go. So we're gonna add just a little bit of onion. This is in stages too, y'all. Add a little bit of onions. Some people like to smother them. I don't like to smother them because then you don't get that crisp potato. You know, some of them will be crisp and some of them will be soft if you leave it open. But if you smother them and snuff them out, they'll soak up a lot more grease too, and you won't get that crisp potato that you're looking for. And remember, ain't no right or no wrong way. I take that back. It is the wrong way. Just don't burn them. That's the wrong way to do it. All right. Next, while I'm waiting on that, I'm gonna chop up some more of this. I'm gonna chop up some of this bell pepper. And once again, with this, I'm not gonna put it in just yet, but make your chunks kind of big. Make your chunks kind of big. And depending on how many servings you're making, or for how many people, just determine how many bell peppers and how many onions you want to use. So I like to start them off chunky. And if you like to use red bell peppers, you can use red bell peppers. Green bell peppers, whatever it is, the choice is yours. Or if you like to use red onion is good. I prefer the white onions because the white onions tend to be a little sweeter. Ain't nothing wrong with a brown onion either. It all depends on what you're making with it. And this is also something some people might like to add a little bit of bacon to it. I ain't adding no bacon to these today, but you can. You can chop up your bacon kind of fine into little bits or pieces, or you can leave that chunky as well. But I strongly recommend putting the bacon in dead last, so you'll get all the flavor from it, and it has to be a visual. That's why I say I like to call it a portrait, because your food not only gotta taste good, it gotta look good. Why you think when you go to a restaurant and sit down and eat, they have all them nice, pretty pictures on that menu? That ain't just for you to order off of, it's just so it can look good to your eyes first before you taste it. That's half the battle. It gotta look good, it gotta smell good, and then at the end, it better taste good. You paying your money for it. I'm gonna crank this up just a little bit higher. And then we can add some of these in. With the bell peppers, I don't add them all at one time. Like I said, they're a little thicker, so I add just some of them in. And that's another thing, when you're cooking your stuff, don't add all your ingredients, just drop them there one time. Do it in stages. Because one secret that a lot of people don't know about food, as it cooks and as the temperature rises, your flavors will begin to change. And y'all notice I ain't putting no seasoning in there yet. No seasoning just yet. I want the vegetables and the potatoes to get to a certain texture first, and then I'll just start sprinkling my seasonings in. My seasonings of choice this morning, I'm gonna use a little bit of garlic, kosher salt, a pinch of oregano, and a little bit of Cajun seasoning. Now, that oregano, you don't want to use too much of the other oregano because it'll override the other flavors, but just a pinch of it to give it that accent, to give it that flavor. Some might like a little bit of cayenne pepper or some crushed chili peppers added to theirs. Look at that, salad starting to look good already. Get back to my potatoes, get back. Yeah, so you gotta just do it in stages. I'm gonna let this cook just a few more minutes. You see I'm gradually turning it up a little bit higher and a little bit higher. But that's because the texture and everything is changing. But you gotta stay and work with it. You can't turn it up and get it higher and higher and then walk away from it. Worst thing you can ever do. Don't do that. You wanna nurse it. All right? Then I'm gonna add a little bit more onion. And these right here, I'm doing these a little bit smaller at this stage because this has already been going for a while. Some of the bigger chunks are already in there, so I just add to it. I gradually add. I'm gonna show y'all what I mean about that when I do a gumbo. I'm gonna show y'all how to do a gumbo. A gumbo pot that keeps on giving. All right. See how it's changing? And you see I still haven't put no lid on it, nor have I started seasoning it just yet. And I'm gonna crank it up just a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and get my mushrooms ready. Because right when it's time for them, I'm gonna toss them in. I want to already have them ready, but they're not going in just yet because I don't have that quite where I want it yet. And the mushrooms as well, don't do them too thin. Do them a little bit thicker. Do them a little bit thicker. This, like I said, this is something simple. This is something that anybody can make. And the more veggies and the more stuff you add to it, the more of a meal it can become. Because I know we have some people who don't like meat, some who are vegetarians. This is something that they can all eat. And then depending on how they season it, or if you like to have your little eggs or something with it. But this within itself can be a meal all by itself. So if you do like cooking, go in there and get busy and burn a few things first. You gotta burn before you learn. So you can go ahead and try it. It don't matter whatever it is. All right. Let's see how we add them gradually. Gradually. All right. And now we'll sprinkle a little bit of garlic. Just a little bit. A little bit of garlic. I don't just dump all the seasonings in there at one time either. Do it gradually. Add a little bit more bell pepper. And as you can see, for this whole pan, I only used a half a bell pepper. Finish getting the mushrooms ready. And this is an easy way to do it. All right, and now I'm gonna add a little Cajun seasoning, just a little bit. Cajun seasoning is strong and garlic is strong, so you don't want to overpower it and override it. You just want to give it a little sprinkle, because you want all your seasonings to work together. You don't want one to override the other. And even the Cajun seasoning side, I'll darken it up just a little bit. Get that one back in there. Oh. All right. And then remember I mentioned oregano. Just gonna go with just a little bit of oregano, a little bit. And see, you can see already not just see the difference, but you can smell the difference. You can smell it. I know we have a lot of dreamers out there. Whatever your dream is, whatever your desire is, stop dreaming about it and start walking in that direction. And then last but not least, when it comes to the seasoning, salt, you don't want to over salt it, because once you go with too much salt, you can't go back. It's hard to cut it without killing everything else you've done. So I like to put just a little pinch of that in my hand, just a little bit, not much, where I can really regulate it and get rid of that little extra. And the sea salt goes a long way. It's a lot more, it brings out the flavor more than that regular iodized salt. You get to work with the sea salt. You can use a lot less and it brings the flavors out. Put your mushrooms in dead last. You don't want to overcook your mushrooms. And just stir them in. Don't that look good? I know it do. I know it do. So this is a portrait. See how that's starting to look? See how it turns your basic potatoes into an artwork. You can look me up at the Rama Cafe. I'm also known, AKA Pierre Beauditley. Somebody might be saying, what the heck does Pierre Beauditley mean? I'm going to tell you a little bit of insight of what that means. That whole concept is bringing cuisine just to your basic meals. You can use your basic meals, where you know how you can get something that somebody just kind of throw together. Like, man, what is that? But it sure tastes good, but it's not so-called cuisine. Well, I like to bring your basic home-cooked meals, your soul